This is preview error. I don't know what that means. Alright, we are live. We are recording.
Ooh.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to T3G. This is the Tangents Podcast. My name is Dalbor, and today we have a very special guest. We've had him on the show before, and this is Mike Emeritz. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me on.
For sure, man. Always a blast with you. We talked. We have a segment on our podcast called Passion as a Business, and we discuss kind of the creative rise as you go from the beginning to deciding what you want to do in life, and then working through kind of making that your day to day and your day job. So.
Wow,
We talk to people at various stages, people who have been doing it, people who are at the top, award-winning directors and producers and such. Those were our first couple guests. That was a fun time.
Nice.
And then people who are in the middle and people who have, like yourself, been through the movie industry and now are working in. And I mean, you have you worked on films,
Okay.
I've never worked on a film. That's still a goal for me. That's still a long game.
On a daily basis, I have to remind myself I've done anything. So I often wake up and feel like, what have I ever actually done? That's a personal problem.
So, I wanted to talk to you on a couple different subjects. First of all, you're currently working on a comic book series, Sisyphean Complex.
Yep.
That's planned for Full Metal, right? Or not Full Metal, Heavy Metal.
I've got some ideas on where I want to take it. I do
Okay.
want to pitch it to Heavy Metal magazine. Huge fan of that magazine since I was a kid. But I'm exploring some other options.
For sure.
I think for at least the first issue, I may just publish the first issue. It's sort of an introductory, extra long issue. It's not going to be the same length as the rest of them, but it introduces all the characters, the gist of what the experience will be like reading these comics. That I think I might self-publish just to get the word out. I can't expect a publisher to take something I haven't, shown that there's even any interest in it.
For sure.
But yeah, for me, I think the long-term goal, the end goal for anything that I create, I'd like to go the publishing route. At least for a while. I don't know. I kind of believe in the gatekeeper system a little bit, just as a proving grounds. They put a lot of money on the line to try to make their product successful, and I feel like crossing that threshold and getting that permission to be a part of that's something that I want to experience. I think it would help me in the long run too, even if I do my own self-publishing, endeavors, that kind of thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mhm.
And I dig that. That was kind of when I was first thinking about a comic book series, my whole thing was like, I'm gonna go to Image. I mean, like way back, like
Sure.
my first, like when I was in high school still, my whole thought was like Marvel or bust. Like,
Shoot for the stars.
and dude, my plan was I'm gonna come to them. I had planned out my what I call my magnum opus comic.
Yeah.
The planned issue count is like 100 plus. Like full, yeah, exactly. And I was
That's
gonna
a career comic.
exactly, and I was like, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna have it all plotted out, I'm gonna be ready, and I'm gonna be like, listen, it's all or nothing, Marvel. Like that was my big plan when I was younger, and then my girlfriend at the time was like, but why would they say yes? Like why would they take such a commitment with no proof of concept?
Yeah, they'd be like, "Here, kid, have a sticker.
Yeah.
Be on your way."
Like you should leave before we throw you out. Like,
Wow.
but no, yeah, I mean, I dig that, man, and that just thinking about that more, I personally thought about well, my whole goal is to get it out regardless. So whether that's I got to put out the first 5-10 issues solo, and then kind of proof of concept that, show the interest, and then push that to the next level, etc. Like, I don't care how it comes out. I'm writing that story. So
Yeah.
it was very much for me, it was like, all right, cool. Let's say, I go the Brian Michael Bendis route. Like, he did 5 years at Image with Powers, and then he signed the deal with Marvel, and then he was at
Right.
Marvel with Powers for a long time. Like, I'd be
Yeah.
okay with that.
Well, I think that's important too. Like Alan Moore had said something along the lines of if you have to kind of put aside the concepts of like fear and success, like both of them. You have to kind of like just work on something for the sake of or what did he say? Without without lust of result is what he said.
Hmm.
So not obsessing about the good or the bad of what could come, but just taking on an endeavor because you believe in that endeavor. And I agree. I
I dig
totally
that.
I believe in that too. Like work on the thing first and then figure out what to do with it. Sometimes it doesn't always work that way. Like if you're truly embedded in the professional world, then your life is dealing with a lot of pitches. Because you're already there. You could walk down the hall to the editor and say, "Hey, what do you think of this?
Right.
Got this guy on it. Got this guy on it. Is there something here?" So there's a way to do it like that too. But I think as an independent, one of the most important, I was just talking with my wife about this last night. One of the most important things is that you actually believe in whatever it is that you're doing, like just for the sake of it existing. You look at the Ninja Turtles, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird came up with that because they were trying to make each other laugh, like
Right.
that was the goal. That was the ultimate goal of that property. And it became something that we all enjoyed. Like we all
Right.
share that same amusement with the absurdity of it because
Right.
it was genuine, because it was made for that purpose. And so anyways, yeah, I try to think about things like that now. Like, yeah, I'm finishing this just because I want to do it,
Right.
because it needs to come out of me, and I've got these other things to do with it kind of in the back of my mind, but at the same time I try to not think about them at least until like this first issue is done, and then I'll figure out, okay, well, what do I do with it now? What's the plan for this thing?
For
Where
sure.
should it go? You know, because it gets distracting. It definitely gets distracting, at least for me. Um, I like to really try to pretend like none of that exists, and I know a lot of people don't feel that way too, even some of my friends. But um, you know, I for
It's
me personally, that works.
for sure. I mean, I'm like we'd all be lying if we said that we didn't think, oh, like what would a movie look like? What would a video game look like
Sure.
of this thing? Like, well, we all think about that. Like, man, this
Yeah.
would look really cool on a big screen, right? But like, you can't plan for that. You can't be like, all right, let
No.
me write this for the big screen. Like, unless
Yeah.
you're writing a screenplay. Otherwise, like if you're writing a comic, if you're writing a novel, whatever you're writing, whatever you're creating, like it's got to be for that thing, for the
Oh yeah.
existence of that thing. I mean, you look at
Absolutely.
something like Wanted. Wanted is one of my favorite,
Mm-hmm.
creatively, like the story arc it went through.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's fucking hilarious to me because they were trying to pitch a movie
Huh.
originally, and then
Interesting.
they went to like 4 or 5 studios. No one was fucking having it. And then he was like, fuck it, I'm just going to make a comic book then. The
Huh.
Wanted comic book came out. Outstanding read, by the way. Way better than the movie.
Interesting.
Like it's so fun because it's like this, the whole brotherhood or whatever they call themselves. They're like all not former villain. They're all villains who won. So like
Oh wow.
the main dude is essentially Lex Luthor. And one of the gags that they talk about in there, he's like, "Do you remember how I like got the reporter to kill her superpowered boyfriend with a
Huh.
radioactive condom?"
Oh my god.
I was like, "That's amazing!" Like, it's just like these like, and it was such a good story. So then when they were like, "Oh, now we have interest, and now a movie's gonna get made,"
Yeah.
and
That's funny.
so there's this whole process, right? So like, you got to do the thing for what you're doing. Like, obviously, the
Oh yeah.
movie wasn't gonna work. No one was having it. It was probably too early, is what it was. It
Hmm.
wasn't right at that superhero era.
Sure.
So because and if they were pitching it the way they wrote the comic, that was never gonna get filmed. Like that would have
Yeah.
essentially been just like a parody movie.
Yeah.
But then
That
they
is interesting. There are things that you can do in comics that you just can't do in any other medium.
a
It's
hundred
just
percent.
it's very special in that way, and vice versa with anything else too. There's certain things that are just meant for the medium that they're presented in.
Oh yeah, like we'll never see a Squadron Supreme movie from Marvel. There'll never be a Squadron Supreme MCU movie because it's
I'm
essentially the
shocked that
Justice
we got
League.
an Avengers movie even. That was a big accomplishment. Granted, the way that they did it worked for film. Like if they really wanted to throw all all those characters on screen, I don't know if that would work. I think that would break under the weight. But we got the closest thing possible to
I
that.
mean, like
that comic
Endgame
experience.
was heavy. Endgame
Yeah,
had a
yeah.
ton, but like you see the problem in Endgame because what did everyone get? 7 seconds, 10 seconds, like
Exactly.
minute and a half. Like
Yeah.
it really, like you said, it's for the medium that it's in. Like you can do like the early when the Avengers came back from Heroes Reborn in '97, when they did that first issue and the cover had like every Avenger on it. It was by Byrne. I don't know why I can't think of his first name for some reason. John Byrne. Duh. Like it's the name. It's the most generic name. I couldn't think of it. Yeah, John Byrne did the cover, and it's like 200 Avengers. Like it's everyone who's ever been an Avenger, and you're just like, yeah, you could never put that on screen. Like it's just not possible. Plus, like, not even thinking about like rights issues and stuff, like because a bunch of X-Men and a bunch of Fantastic Four members have been Avengers.
Yeah.
Like it was just like you said.
It would be like a 10-minute long pan of just.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like the scene in Endgame where they come back, like
A little
all the gates open. Dude, I wept. I cried a little bit. I was like, oh my god, it's so beautiful. But like,
You know what's funny about? There's like a meme going around that's that scene, but they keep having different people from like every movie imaginable coming through the portals. They
Nice.
got like Neo, the Ghostbusters, Lord of the Rings, like, and I think the movie's about like 10 minutes long, just introduction after introduction.
Oh, wow.
The Simpsons, it's pretty good.
that's good. I like that. I like that. That's really good. But that's like that's yeah. It would be this enormous thing, and even then, like you had all these people show up, and it was cool. But like, I really wanted to see Rescue in action, and we did. But I swear, if she's on screen for more than a minute, I'd be blown away. Like if you added it all up, it was
Yeah.
awesome. And like the scenes that they had with her and Tony fighting back to back, I'm like, they've been practicing. In those 5 years, they've been practicing. They haven't just been dicking around.
A little off-screen storyline happening.
Right, I'm saying, like, where's the miniseries of the 5 years where like they had a kid and practiced doing armor fights?
Maybe in the next phase.
Right, dude. They just released the Infinity Saga box set.
I saw that. It's like super expensive too, right? Like,
Oh yeah, I mean it's 23 movies.
it's a lot.
But it's funny because it's like, oh, it comes with digital. It comes with 4K and Blu-ray discs, and then it comes with the digital code. And I was like, would you ever actually put one of those discs in? Now, unless you're like a big 4K person and you would put the 4K disc in, but like, would you ever put a disc in if you had the digital copies? No, you would just open
not.
iTunes or whatever and play it.
Yeah. I'm not even really a huge collector either. So for us with movies, we only buy digital. Like we'll do the Amazon Prime thing. We got like a pretty decent Amazon collection or whatever. I don't know. Having a stack of DVDs and all that, I just can't do it anymore. So as cool as that
too
would
much.
be,
It's too much. It's too much to deal with.
rather- like if I wanted a cool memorabilia thing of
Yeah.
like the Avengers movies, I'd probably just like do a painting myself and print it on a cardboard box and stick
Right.
it on my shelf.
Right. Like I own the first Star Trek movie, the new ones. The only reason I own it is because I worked at Target at the time when it came out, and it came as a Enterprise, and the saucer section opens, and that's where the disc is.
Oh, that's cool.
And like that's the only reason I bought it, because I'm like, I really love the movie, so I'm like, but like to have this is like I don't even have to play the disc. Like this is just a cool piece to have. And it was
Yeah.
like $15. It was on sale, and I was like, yeah, why wouldn't I do this? Like I don't
There's some
have.
cool stuff like that. Like,
I'm
there's
saying.
a Terminator collector edition with like the big Terminator.
Oh
head
yeah, and
stuff.
all the discs like pop into the back of its head. I love that
Yeah,
one.
that's cool.
The first phase came in the cube box or the cube briefcase.
Oh,
So the
cool.
briefcase opens and all the discs are in there. The second
cool.
phase was the Guardians, that globe from the Power Gem,
Oh,
the Power
okay.
Stone.
Yeah.
That opens up and all the discs are in there. They haven't done like a fancy one for phase 3 though. And I was like, man. They just went with they were like, you bought those for $300 a piece. No. Now
Yeah.
you get to buy this like $1,000 collection.
The whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. And it's just a box too. It's not even like
No,
Thanos'
yeah, it's not
Infinity Gauntlet or
exactly.
anything.
Exactly. I was saying like the phase 3 should be the Tony Stark, the Iron Man gauntlet,
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
stones. Like that would be the
that would
best
be
way to do it, because then you have like this real cool.
Man, they've got it planned. That's like next Christmas they're gonna come out with that
Oh,
too.
for sure.
Oh, you
For
bought
sure.
it before, but what about this one? Yeah.
Next Christmas we'll have 2 more MCU movies and an MCU show, because I think Captain Marvel, or rather, Captain America and Falcon is going to be. See, they call it Falcon, or they call it Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it's going to be Captain America and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it not to be.
Yeah. Probably just to start off, they'll call it that, just so people don't get confused.
Right.
Or,
I mean, I'm
angry and get their pitchforks.
well,
and complain about
supposedly the pitch of the show is that the government doesn't want him to be Captain America, and I was like, why the fuck would the government care?
Yeah,
So like,
just him,
right? Like, also, are we? I mean, everybody's back. Like, all the people on the planet are back. Are we just ignoring the Sokovia Accords going forward? Like, that's like what I'm interested in. Like the political aspects of the whole thing.
Oh gosh.
Because that's kind of what it seemed like in the comics. Like, after the Civil War, they had the secret invasion, and because the secret invasion, like, Tony Stark failed at his job as like the big head honcho, they put Norman Osborn in charge because that's a fucking smart idea. Of course, that derailed because he's Norman Osborn. And when like after that, it was like the heroic age, and everybody was an Avenger again. And I guess the Registration Act was just like, we're just gonna forget that. Like, that never happened. Like, because the whole thing, like, because I'm reading the Spider-Man. I haven't read Spider-Man in ages, so I was like, I actually read it right up until Civil War. So I was like, let me just pick up after that and just catch up.
Yeah.
So I'm catching up through like all these eras very quickly. Because I started with when they broke him and Mary Jane up to like to save Aunt May, and I think that's bullshit, because like, she's an old lady, let her die.
Oh jeez.
She's already died once.
terrible.
Like, she already died once and she came back.
She's dead to me.
Like, like, she's the old, like MCU Aunt May, she's got many years ahead of her. But like Sam Raimi Aunt May, she's had a life.
Yeah. It's time, Aunt May.
like, yeah, she took a bullet for him, but like, I mean, better way to go out than like heart attack in the middle of the street. Like,
jeez.
I don't know. I'm an asshole. Like, but it's just very interesting to see kind of like how it goes, and it's like, we literally, like, one issue he was still like being hunted by the police because he's a unregistered superhero, and the next issue he's running around with the Avengers, and now he's official again. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, we're just gonna ignore the past 3 years or whatever, like, because
What
that's
just happened? Am I still on?
yeah.
Okay. Both my screens just went black and the audio cut out.
Oh, weird.
It's back now.
Oh,
What the heck was that? Sorry.
no worries, no worries.
That was weird.
But yeah, so it's I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where that goes. I really, really hope it doesn't go down the route that the Sam Wilson Captain America comic went, because that went down this route of they wrote it. Imagine if there was a world. Imagine in our world if you saw in a world where the only news is Breitbart.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
like, essentially that's what it was. It was like everyone in America fucking hated him, and the only people that wanted him to be Captain America and liked him were in the hood, and they were black. And I was like, what the fuck is it? Because like
Bit extreme.
exactly, they wrote this really, really extreme storyline. Like, listen, I'm not gonna be confused in that like some people won't like him to be Captain America. I get that,
Sure.
but don't say that essentially that is everyone else besides the hood. Like, and then they really had him come out and be like just take a swing, like, oh, I'm gonna be like the Captain America for the streets, right? And I was like, I mean, cool, but like, Captain America's supposed to save the country, like, whole country. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It just, they really, the way they approached it, it was really heavy-handed, and it goes into like the kind of culture right now in storytelling and filmmaking, in a lot of things where it's like, here is the lesson, eat it.
Yeah.
Like, show don't
That's
tell,
what
motherfucker.
people
Like,
have. Yeah, that's actually been my main criticism with regardless of politics, my main criticism of storytelling in general is that if you have a message that you're trying to get across to people,
mhm.
you can't just, slap it on the forehead of the main character because you're never going to reach the audience that actually needs to hear your message.
Yeah,
If you're really trying to convince people that something that you think or you believe is worth listening to that doesn't already think that, you're never going to get through to them giving them the poster child for the thing that they're already against. It's
right.
just, it doesn't work like that. And you have to be subversive. You have to surprise people with something where they're following along, they think a certain way, they feel for a certain character, and then, oh, whoa, this character is a representative of this group that I didn't think I liked, and now I see a different perspective of them. That's how you change people's minds.
For
It's not
sure,
about the stupid
100%.
echo chamber bullshit. But
Supergirl. I don't know if, like, I think we've talked about this a couple times before, but like Supergirl is a huge example of this. But like on
yeah,
both ends of it, it's an
yeah,
example on both ends because like the when they tackled the immigration issue last season, they were so fucking heavy-handed about it the first half of the season. And I don't know if they like fired the fucking writing staff or something, because literally it went from that to like, oh, Lex Luthor is behind everything, and now we have a superhero story. Like, I get that Lex Luthor was trying to stoke the flames of hatred and all that stuff, and then we dealt with Lex Luthor in the second half of the season, and I was like, see, that part of the season was so good and so well done. We still touched on the immigration stuff, but like through the lens of a superhero. Whereas everything, because they even changed the intro, and she was like, I'm an immigrant of Krypton, and I was like, oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? But then like they were also dealing with, like, they really lay it on thick on Supergirl. Like, it's like, we're not doing one thing, we're doing all the things.
yeah.
Because they introduced a new character last season, Dreamer, who is a trans character and was being played by a trans woman. And they thankfully did not, like, heavy-hand that. And there was a moment, really well-written scene. Turns out she got the powers, and she's an alien, but she got the powers from her mother that her sister's been training for her whole life. And there's this whole thing where, like, her sister freaks out on her, and she's like, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I don't even understand how you got the powers. You're not even a real woman. And I was like, yo, you can't fucking like, that's like a really aggressive thing to say. But like right there, I was like,
but I mean, that's like we have to experience that.
Right,
We have
exactly.
to teach people that we can have conversations, that people are allowed to have an opinion, and that we could talk about it. And
Right.
What better place to do it than in a story, in a fictional environment? That's
100%.
awesome. Good for them for doing that. 'Cause
I was
think that way.
I was expecting Supergirl to be like, you can't say that. But like they just let it hang, and I was like, oh shit, like that was the right way to write that scene. Like it wasn't this like, oh, let me explain why this is a bad thing. Like,
Sure. Even if they did decide to go that route, like, I don't know, just trying to disguise the fact that these people with conflicting opinions exist is,
oh yeah,
to use an overly used term, problematic. It is, though, because the world's a messy place.
no, yeah.
Representing people.
I like yelled at my friend the other day. We were talking about something, and she said she like overgeneralized Republicans. She was like, Republicans this, this, and this, and I was like, that's a fucking stupid thing to say. I'm like, you're generalizing. I'm like, and the entire problem we have with every debate right now is generalizing. You say the thing, but you're saying that everybody in that group across the board. I'm like, plus, like, you're saying that, I forget what the discussion was in specifics, but like essentially you're applying, just like when Hillary in 2016 called all Trump supporters deplorables. That's fucking stupid. For the most part, when it comes to politics,
even if you hate the guy, I mean,
Yeah.
people are people. Not every person
Exactly.
is a politician.
Exactly.
People could be making decisions for things that they're passionate about, that
100%.
they
That's the
think are
thing.
in the
Most
best
people,
interest of their families and their
yeah,
lives.
most people are single issue voters. There are probably there were people that were
Yep.
in a small town in North Dakota. They,
Sure.
you know, the factory that was in the town shut down. There's 700 people in town, and now there's no jobs. And they heard jobs. They don't care about anything else. They need a
Yep.
job because they like to survive.
Yep.
That's what they latched onto. That's it. Like, most people are single issue voters. Like, and
Totally.
that's why I get upset when anybody generalizes. When somebody says, "Oh, fucking libtards," or everyone says like, "Oh, fucking conservatives," or Republic, like, dude, like, it's all stupid. Like,
Yeah.
have real conversations, and that's why I don't like general terms. Like, the term racist is fucking stupid to me because people get defensive about it without even trying to figure out why they're hearing that. They hear racist, like, nope, I'm not a racist, dude. And like, but you're being hateful right now. Like, you call somebody
Sure.
hateful, you explain to them why they're being hateful. That might give them something to think about. But like, they hear racist, like, I'm not fucking racist.
Yeah.
Like,
there's just
my
certain
cousin's
terms you
married
just
to a
can't
black
even use
guy.
anymore.
Like,
Yeah, they don't even have meaning anymore. It's like you just like slapped someone in the face. There's no context to it at
Exactly.
all. People just
Exactly.
they hear it, they react, and that's that.
exactly. It's just it's
Yeah.
a visceral thing. Like, and that's why, to get back to storytelling, like, that's why I really don't like when it's this like super heavy-handed, which I haven't seen it yet, but I hear that's what's going on with the new Charlie's Angels movie, that it's just like
I didn't even know there was gonna be a Charlie's Angel movie. and now
really.
there's
I
like
see a
drama
lot of
about it.
trailers for it. I seen a lot of trailers. I really like. I was psyched for it. I actually, for the first time in anything I've seen, I thought Kristen Stewart looked fun. Like, she looked like she had emotions, and I thought that was a change, a welcome change. I thought, but like, it just, I was excited. It was Naomi Scott was in there, who was Jasmine, and she was the Pink Power Ranger in the Power Rangers movie. Like, I was in for the whole thing, and it, like, the jokes were fun. It, like, the trailer made it look good. I know a lot of people are saying like the first trailer was garbage or whatever, but I was like, nah. Like, the only thing so far that I felt was garbage was the song, with like Ariana Grande and somebody else. I forget. Like, it was not a good fucking song. Like, I watched it because like the last time there was a Charlie's Angel song, it was fucking. I think it was it Survivor. Like, I think it was Survivor. I think it was Survivor by Destiny's Child, and that was a banger back in the day, you know. So I was like, let me hear this song, and it was like, oh, this is fucking awful. Like, this is not a good fucking song. So I was like, well, hopefully the movie's better. But then I saw the trailers, and I was like, all right, I'm down. And it's got like Patrick Stewart, it's got Elizabeth Banks. Like, Elizabeth Banks is producing and directing. Like,
Wow.
I'm in. Like, I love Elizabeth Banks. She's fucking great. So like, and then she gets on an interview, and she basically says like, oh, well, Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel did well because they're in a male genre. Apparently, superheroes are a male genre, and that's why.
That's kind of going against a big part of the comics movement in the modern age, right? Is that more and more people are discovering that it's for a lot of different people.
Yep.
Like, what?
Yep.
What?
Yep. To say that superheroes are a male genre, and she's like, no, it's like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm glad that those movies did well, but like, the people, like, she was basically saying that people went to see them not because there was a Captain Marvel movie or because there was a Wonder Woman movie. It's because they were like building up to Justice League or building up to Avengers. And I was like, I disagree. I think there are some people that probably did that, but I would say most people, like, I really enjoyed Captain Marvel. I really enjoyed Wonder Woman as standalone movies.
What about all those little kids that just completely latched on to Wonder Woman as a character? They weren't even alive for this entire, Infinity Saga. Like, I don't know.
It blew me away.
So fight a stereotype by insinuating another stereotype.
Exactly. And she was saying like, she's like, if this movie doesn't, her quote is, if this movie doesn't make money, it reinforces a Hollywood stereotype that men don't go see female-led action movies. And I was like,
that is so stupid. Are you kidding me? That's probably the main target audience for a female-led action movie. That's like a fantasy thing for men.
Right. For sure.
I am currently writing a comic about a female-driven action hero.
Ah, yes,
I
yes.
want to see it and need more of it. What the fuck?
What a silly way to look at it, man.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
I just like, and that's the thing is like you're trying to blame it on something, but like what I'm hearing from people. Now, granted, people react the way they do, so I'm still reserving judgment until I see the movie. But what I'm hearing is that it's very heavy-handed in like its feminism portrayals, like very heavy-handed. And I was like, well, if it's like preachy, I could get why people don't like it.
Sure. Yeah.
But like that, but also like I said, I reserve judgment until I see it because I was into it. I was into the trailer, and I haven't seen anything that would make me think that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still gonna go see it. And I've said this many times. Like Hottest and I talked about this when Alita came out. We said if Alita didn't make money,
Man, I still
that
haven't seen
wasn't.
I need to see.
Oh my God, you break my heart. Because I'm literally what I'm about to say is I'm like if Alita doesn't make money, I'm like that's not a men thing. That's a woman thing. Like if women are trying to support female-led action movies, go see these female-led action movies. Even if you were to break half of the female population in the U.S. down, like if you took half of the U.S. population that are female and said even half of that, I think that ends up being something like 50 million. I think, I forget, we did the math. And like that at the minimum, like $5 to $7 a ticket, you're doing all right. Like, well, like right now it's done only like, I think it's only done like 28 million over the weekend.
Wow, that's pretty
And
low.
and only 8 in the US.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And like
Wow.
you can't Charlie's Angels. Hottest is live watching us here. But
we're live?
Yeah, we are live on caffeine.tv/T3G Media.
Oh, wow. Cool.
But yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Like, if this movie fails, it's not because of men. It's because women who, and again, this to me is like when you get on. This is why like social media activism doesn't fucking do anything. Like, there's only so much awareness you can do. If every woman in America shared that, like the trailer, and every woman in America saw it, but none of them went to see the movie, it doesn't matter how many fucking people shared it.
Right. Yeah. That I could agree with.
Like, you could say like if everyone shared, like the pipeline. I just watched a video that was from like 2017. So like, if you go back to like the pipeline, and if everyone just shared like, oh, there's gonna be this pipeline, but no one went to Standing Rock,
right?
Nothing would have happened. It would have just went down as it did. I mean, granted, it still went down. So like,
right.
You could argue that nothing really happened, but. That's a bigger,
very nihilistic approach.
Yeah, that's a bigger thing. But like,
it is what it is. What's gonna happen, whether I get involved or not.
But it's like certain things, like
maybe that's
like the people, like when Donald Trump was running for president and he didn't do his speech in Chicago, it's because there was a protest of like hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, it was
like
huge.
We don't fucking want you here. Get the fuck out.
Huge.
Yeah, get the fuck out. We don't want to hear your shit. And it's funny, a friend of mine on Facebook was like, they're preventing him from exercising his right to free speech. I'm like, no, you have the right to free speech, but you also have the right to face the consequences. If a whole city decides we don't want to hear it, you don't get to talk.
Like, he could have still done it though.
Yeah.
He's the one that decided not
to.
Yeah,
it was like a security concern or whatever. I'm like, nah, like. Yeah. It's once there, you have to have a physical action to actually show support. That's what it is to me. When Alita came out, and
for sure,
because when the whole Disney Fox thing went down, they were like, oh, Alita might not get a sequel, and the actress posted on social media like, hey guys, make sure you support the movie once it comes out on disc and digital. Like, we got to show them that, people want a sequel. The day it came out, I bought it at full. It was like $28 fucking. I bought it at full price digitally, like, because I want a sequel. So for me, like, I mean, you look at something like Riddick. When the last Riddick movie came out, before that, it did nothing in theaters. But then it had such a huge Blu-ray run that they approved a sequel. So I was like, yeah, I'm like everyone. I'm like,
Interesting.
if you support, like if you want to see something, you need to take that physical action. You need to buy a copy to make sure that the next one gets made. Like you need to
Yeah.
show that physical monetary action as far as like movies and stuff like that. Same thing with comics. And I think a lot of people don't
Oh
realize
yeah.
like how important singles are. Like you
Fortunately,
gotta
yeah.
buy the singles. Like, are they eventually gonna go to a quarterly trade release as opposed to selling singles? Probably. Like
That would be the smart move. Yeah.
realistically speaking, what they should do, they should sell $2 copies digitally, like digital only, and then put out a $15-$20 trade every 3 months.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. Definitely need some changes. But I agree with what you were saying about social media interaction and the responsibility of the audience, I guess, to support what they like. It's always appreciated when people share stuff, like stuff, tell
Yeah,
other people about stuff. That's how you get the word out. But at the end of the day, if you really like a creator and you like what they're doing and you want to see them keep doing it, you got to buy stuff from them. You
a
just
hundred
have to.
percent. I mean,
It's
just
just
like
not
you.
it just is what it is. I mean, I posted recently about the second anthology book because I got a bunch that I got to sell, and I got a fair share of people that are sharing it and stuff like that, but none of that's helping me right now.
Right.
I'll be honest about it. But that's a lot of creators. I'm not trying to share like a sob story for myself. It's kind of the reality of it. You see it around the holidays. You see it when there's a big book. A lot of people come out and show support by liking, saying that they'll tell their friends or whatever, and all of that's super appreciated. But the better thing to do would be to buy the book,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, if especially an independent creator, if they don't have enough money to cover the expense of having created that book, it's back to the day job. I mean, I know a couple people that have had they've either dipped their toe in the professional world or they're in it right now. Even they have to take day jobs. One of my good friends is an inker who's worked on a ton of DC comics over the years.
Oh wow.
He's a dishwasher right now. He's not,
Oh
I
wow.
mean, and I mean, I'm not knocking the job. Everyone's got to do what they got to do, but it's not fair. He's got a lot under his belt. He does good work, but because he didn't make enough on his own self-published, his first endeavor out into the self-published world,
Right.
it's not, things aren't coming together for him,
Sure.
and that's super sad. Of course, I supported the campaign and all that, but I bought the comic. Like that was the way to do it. If more
I
people
mean,
did that,
100%, 100%. I mean, like,
I might not be in that
to go back
situation.
to the volume two, like, if no one, if everyone that you and I and every person that was involved in the 100s knew, like, if every person that we all knew shared
Mm.
the campaign, but no one bought it, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, it really
It
wouldn't.
wouldn't have gotten printed. Nothing would have happened.
No,
Like
yeah, that's the other
people have
reality
to
too.
buy it. People have like
And,
you have to have that physical action. Like there's just
yeah,
no way around that.
yeah.
Like
I see that a lot too. I was having a conversation with a couple people recently who are having a lot of trouble with their campaigns. They're not making enough. It's not going to happen unless some miracle happens at the very end and they fully fund their book isn't even getting made. And so you think about that, like I couldn't even imagine that's time spent on pages, on writing. I mean, even just thinking about the thing before you even get to the point of actually creating it. And I think if creators were to actually tally up all those hours they've spent, oh my gosh, that's a lot of time sunk into what they're doing. And if you want to see them succeed, you just have to buy the book, and it's usually not even that much. I mean, compared to what you're already buying,
oh
it's
yeah,
a little, I don't know, but that's a hard thing to try to convince people of. You got very appealing things out there, Netflix and Disney Plus now, and all kinds of other things, and
sure,
bills, all that stuff adds up. But
yeah,
if you really want to see independent stuff succeed, you have to support it monetarily, and more so than the other stuff sometimes.
oh
You may
yeah,
have to sacrifice a month of Netflix or whatever to do it if you really believe in it, which is extreme, but yeah, it's an uphill battle for indie creators for sure.
yeah.
I think a lot
Oh
of people don't even realize that getting into it.
oh, 100%. Yeah, no, it's an entirely different universe than any
Yeah.
job. Than any job. Like this is
Yeah.
the only job that requires 3 to 5 times the amount of effort that any other job does.
For 3 to 5 times less of
Yeah, exactly, exactly. You get about a
yeah.
third of the money for about 3 times the work. It's the thing. It's the thing at work that they do to you. Like I'm
Hmm.
doing 3 to 4 people's jobs at work now. Like
Yeah.
they've added on responsibilities and stuff, but they didn't raise my pay for that. Like
Right.
so but and the flip side is you get less money and you're doing 3 times the work, but you are following something that you're really passionate about, and
True.
that to me is like it's just so much more important. Like the satisfaction of completing something of your own, and just like I have done this thing, and
Hmm.
that was my purpose, is to do this thing.
Hmm.
That to me is like 100 times more important than anything I do at a job. Like,
I've always felt the same, and that's why I've either been let go or had to go other jobs because it's like I know I'm taking a longer break, but yeah, I'm working on this comic. Can't you see? Like, never really did well in regular jobs. They'd find me in the stairwell or the break room drawing instead of being on the floor.
but yeah, man. You knew very early on that creative stuff was going to be your future.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
Unfortunately.
it's one of those things that like I have just in the last couple years personally come to the realization that like my like passion is storytelling. Like I want to tell stories, regardless of the medium. Like we're working on a comedy sketch series that's going to be video. I've been converting that into like a short form TikTok thing,
Huh,
just to kind of
cool.
like and weirdly like TikTok has like ridiculous turnover numbers, dude. Like my
Yeah, that's what I've
last
heard.
3 videos on TikTok have more than the last 20 videos on my YouTube channel.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
it's insane the number of views you get. Granted, like
Huh.
it's less than a minute. It's like the conversion it's cheaper. Like the time spent
Yeah.
is less. But
Sure.
like I'm literally doing like I'm from the character of that story that we're doing in the comedy sketch series. I'm presenting like these like tech support scenarios where like fuck you, don't come to me with your problems. Like if
Okay.
you
I
don't
think
if you
I
don't do what
remember
I
you
tell.
telling me something about
Yeah, yeah.
this.
So
Yeah.
and I just do like I did the first one I did. I kind of did like a really quick, like I actually produced it. Like I did 2 characters, and then I did editing.
Mm.
But then I was kind of like, I'm just gonna get on, and I'm just gonna like from the perspective of the tech support guy,
Hmm.
like because one of the things that happened was like a dude basically said like, so you're telling me that if like I can't get into my phone and I'm gonna lose my job because I can't get access to my data because I have to wait for access, and I was like, that's not my fault. I didn't lose access to your phone, you did. So like I just did a quick like, don't
Wow.
come to me and tell me you're gonna sue me. It's not my
Yeah.
fault. And that's all it was. But like, 150 views.
Wow.
Like
Huh. Well, see, now from a business perspective, I wonder how that translates in like a funnel scenario. Like, what's the conversion rate of views on TikTok to people that will click through to go to your website or your store or something like that then?
I mean I don't know the conversion, but like I think TikTok, much in the way of like Instagram stories,
Hmm.
is a good brand building thing. Like
Okay.
people are gonna get to know you, your face, your art
Sure.
style. Like for somebody like yourself, like there are a ton of art challenges on TikTok,
Oh
and it's
boy.
like, and it's like simple stuff, not like a lot of in depth things. Again, I
Hmm.
think they're like 1 to 3 minute videos at most.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like draw like take an old piece that you did, draw it again, and show the results. That's
Hmm.
it. Like simple stuff like that. So if you were to jump onto that and just do these real quick things, you could gain just awareness of your brand. In your profile, you have a link to your store or whatever,
Hmm.
and that's all it is. Because that's the thing. Like I see a ton of people's art on there, and I'm like, wow, that's really fucking good.
Hmm.
But like
Well, yeah, artists flock to stuff like that. We're always looking for
right.
the next thing to promote. Not a big fan of challenges, oddly enough. Being a big advocate for one for a few years
Right.
now. Yeah, not a huge fan of the challenge thing, but but still, it kind of makes sense. They're short little videos. You can, even if you don't do challenges, you can get the word out about
Oh,
whatever you're
100%. I mean,
doing.
people, what a lot of people will do is they'll take like a popular sound, because a lot of it's sound based. I don't know if it used to be Musically. They
Mm.
got bought out by TikTok.
Oh.
It's a lot of it's music based. So like there'll be a popular sound clip, and people would just draw under that sound clip, and
Huh.
they'll essentially, like, you draw yourself, like you record yourself drawing, you like compress it down to a minute, you put it under this sound, you upload it. People that are
Huh.
looking through that sound will be like, oh, what's this dude doing? They'll see it and they'll see you draw. Like, it could be your daily sketch, like whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of ways to, like, to just promo yourself, and that's what I said. Like, I've been just kind of toying around with like other things I might do, but I was like, nah, like I really like the idea of this like being just this character's like outlet of like,
Yeah.
this is what because I my original thought was I was gonna have him tweet, but I put like two-factor authentication on the Twitter, so every time I logged into the Honest Tech Support account, it like sent me a verification code, and I had to put it in, and like it was just this extra step that I didn't want to fucking do. So I was like, fuck it. But then when I like played around with TikTok, I was like, I could just like real quick, like I pick it up, do the thing, it's uploaded, done. Like it's just this instant thing. It's there. You see, like I said, the numbers are. Let's see. I haven't done one in like a couple days, but let's see. Let's see what my last 3 do. Oh, for fuck's sake, with the ads. There
Hmm.
are some. There are some
Whoa.
ads. So let's say like my last video is 582 views. The one before that 200. The one before that 429. Like it's 1300. The one before that 300. Like it's a very interesting platform. There's a ton of like the type of different stuff that people do on it is crazy. A lot of it's like really high production. Like there's a dude who plays like he's got 2 like series that he does. And he does like frat house drama, and there's like 3 or 4 characters, and he plays all the characters. And it's like the
Jeez.
one frat house bro is like having beef with the other frat house bro, and it's just like a funny fucking series. And I'm like, but it's all done in a fucking minute. Like it's so,
Yeah.
like it is. I think it's the Vine for me. Like I was not into Vine when it
Okay.
came out. I watched a ton of like Vine compilations, but Vine for me at the time was just like really crazy short form stuff. I remember watching
Yeah.
watching a Vine back in the day that was just like this one kid who did like 15 transitions just like on beat to a song, and he was like in different places in different outfits, and I was like, God, how long did this fucking take? Like I was just like really impressed at the creativity of it, of just like doing this whole thing like 30 40 beats or whatever. It was just like a really
Yeah,
ridiculous
I'm
thing.
out of the loop with all of that stuff. It all passes me by.
Because you're working. You're
Yes. Yeah.
Are you on pages? I know you were still doing a lot of
No, I'm
pre-work
on
stuff.
commissions right now. I have a car to pay off.
That's
And
fair. That's fair.
it, so I've been doing a bunch of commissions recently. Some I can share, some I haven't.
For
You
sure.
know, it's best
Oh yeah,
not
yeah,
to
the
'cause
Batman
it's
Spawn
so
thing. I like that.
specific. Yeah, that turned out pretty cool. I'm actually like I'm almost done with it. I need to go back and color it, but some interesting developments that I could talk to you about off camera
Sure.
came up. But I'm about to get some fucking really awesome help on that one.
That's cool.
Maybe polish it up.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, just commissions right now, and writing in the meantime, because the I've been trying really hard for the last since I started all this to get down to a page a day. That's like the epitome of accomplishment for any kind of comic artist trying to do comics professionally. And I get into some conversations quite a bit about what that actually means. There's a lot of artists that can do 2 or 4 pages in a day, but for the level of detail and refinement that I'm trying to go for my work, I try to a page a day is a very difficult goal to reach. But I've been hitting it with these commissions, but I'm doing pencils, I'm doing inks, and I'm doing colors.
Right.
Plus, I got to throw in at least a day for just what's that? Ideation.
Yeah. Yeah.
What am I doing? What am I trying to do with this? What's the point? What's the theme? What's the whatever? So they've been taking a roughly 4 days a piece, which is a hefty chunk of time.
For sure.
But if I take longer than that, they're not worth the money that I'm charging for them. So
Right.
I have a whole slew to do. So uh, currently, I'm working on an Adventure Time one that's going to be pretty cool. And I got 5 more to do all before Christmas, and then I've got a few other concept art gigs on the back burner for after Christmas. So they're not as pressing as these. But yeah, right now it's all about I have to pay off this debt. I have to pay off this car. That'll give me the peace of mind to move forward on my comic. And unfortunately, I can't. I'm doing a page a day, so there's literally no physical time left in the day to work on the comic to actually do drawing. But every day I wake up and I work on the writing, so I'm still chipping away, getting ready for it. But starting next year, my hope is that it will be paid off by then, and then the idea is to go on a quarterly schedule. So I'm hoping to get 3 issues out next year, and I
Nice.
may or 4 issues out next year. 3 is probably the more likely scenario because I see these commissions spilling over into the new year just because it's a lot of money to make in a short amount of time. But with the concept gigs, that may actually change things, but we'll see. With stuff like that, I never count on it. I put it on the back burner, but until there's a down payment, people who ask for concept art never have any idea what it's actually going to cost to get concept art, and so those tend to fall through. But these two are hopeful, and we'll see.
Right.
But anyways, yeah, I don't mean to be getting into all my.
No, no worries. I mean, that's what we're here for.
But yeah, so as far as the comic goes, yeah, the goal ultimately is to get on a quarterly schedule, and if I can, do a page a day of each of these steps, then that's definitely a doable thing. It's only a 7-issue comic the way that I see it now, so we've got like that longer introductory issue, which is looking at about 32 pages. That's what I'm shooting for. After that, they're going to go down to 24 pages a piece, and going to try to wrap it up in about 7 issues, and it's going to be really, really crazy ride.
The whole story, or just like a first arc?
Yeah, the whole story, everything. There's so it's 7 issues for the main story, but there are shorts that kind of go along with it.
Okay.
That's actually kind of where the idea started. Was this almost like a fan art type of thing in a way, or like a fan fiction type of thing. Just this kind of like an engine, there's a premise and there's a setup and there's an order to the way things happen in each episode, and they happen differently, but the same things happen over and over again in different ways.
Right.
And so they're like little shorts, maybe like 4 to 8 pages tops. I want to do a book of those too, but currently I don't have those really penciled into any kind of schedule. I'm going to try to get those done whenever I get them done.
Sure.
Maybe they come out alongside of it, maybe they come out after. Haven't really planned all that out yet, but at the end what I hope to have is 2 books, the main story and then this book of shorts that takes place before the story. That's the plan there.
I dig it. It. The prequel volume.
Yeah, kind of. It's just sort of fun. It's a lot like a spy versus spy kind of thing. Meant to just be sort of this lighthearted, fun, no
Sure.
major story arc thing going on. Just this is fun and entertaining kind of thing. But not a whole lot of them. Like I said, very, very short amount. As many as are interesting. The dogs approve.
Yeah. I'm sure the male person came.
Dropping off some goodies.
I hope so. Go lie down. No, I dig that. It actually the way the way you are describing it, it reminds me of weirdly of Savage Dragon. That ran for like 70 plus issues.
Oh wow!
And then he did a 0 issue, which took place before the first issue, and you found out that Dragon was this like fucking what would you call him, like a alien warlord.
Huh.
Like he was not a good dude. Like Dragon was not a good dude, but he lost his memory. I forgot the whole story of it, but I just thought it was wow, that's like a way different. I wouldn't have thought that at all.
Interesting. Well, that's definitely not the case for this. You're not going to have any kind of major revelations from any of the shorts. If anything, the story is more of a revelation about what's going on in the shorts. But yeah, they're not technically prequels in that sense of like you're going to learn something new about
Gotcha.
the main story. But but yeah, it's something that I've been kind of toying with for a really long time, and it wasn't until about a year ago that I actually like had one of those aha moments, and it kind of put everything into perspective, and I knew exactly what it was that it needed to be and how it needed to be told and what kind of characters. It was just a flood, just all at once.
Right.
But I've been playing around with different iterations of it for a long time, and that was kind of the inspiration for the little shorts, because originally that was all it was ever supposed to be, was sort of this fun little uh, activity, I guess, for myself. How many different ways can I tell the same story over and over again? It was pretty much the idea.
Go lie down.
But
Stop.
all right,
Stop.
fine, I'll go lay down.
You know, I was debating about what a fucking tangent. I was debating about that. Is it lay down or lie down? I
um,
always say lie down, but I feel like it's wrong because I don't think
there's a
I think you lay down. I don't think you lie down.
there's an old like one of those sayings so you that helps you figure it out, and I can't think of what it is right now. I think you tell someone else to lie down, and you go and lay down. I'm pretty sure
Oh,
that's
okay,
the
that's fair.
phrase.
See, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, go lay down. I'm gonna go lay down. Something like that.
Hashtag tangents.
Sure.
But yeah, no, that's a. I dig that. Like I and that's kind of like the evolution of a story, right? Like you come up with a little thing,
Hmm.
and even if it's like a complete thing in your head, your brain keeps working on it, and it's like, hey, we could
Oh
do this
yeah.
other thing, and we could do this bigger thing, and now it's
Yeah.
7 issues, and
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, and I talk about this with my friend Gaz all the time. Like, and this is like my biggest advice to anyone just starting to write is like start with a small thing because it's always going to grow into a bigger thing. There's always that risk, especially the less you write and finish stories. I find that tends to be more the case. But regardless, even if you've written a bunch of stories, it still happens. Just is what it is. When I go to write though, it's a little. I try to have a very. I let myself play for a little while. I let myself have some fun, figure out what it's supposed to be, because I feel like you can't really get anything interesting unless you do that. You got to feel like you're in the sandbox if you're gonna come up with something that's fun and interesting, and that other people are gonna find interesting. But at some point, you really do have to sit down and say, "This is what I'm doing. This is what it is." And then you can look at everything you've done and you can go, okay, well, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this, and pluck things out. I think often people do try to, they get precious about stuff and they hold on to things too much. Sisyphine Complex is my perfect example of completely not being precious. I've changed these characters so often. My main character that I love so much isn't even the main character anymore, and that's fine with me. It's not. I realize it's not about her. It's about somebody else. It's about something bigger than her, and so she's taking a back seat, and that's cool. Like sometimes you need to do that. You need to figure out what am I actually trying to say. Because I don't believe in. This is a personal opinion. Believe me, I've had many arguments with people who think differently. That's fine. They're wrong. It's okay. But
that's fine. They're wrong. I like that.
um, you got to be saying something. Your story's got to be about something. I don't believe in entertainment for the sake of entertainment. I don't think it truly exists. I think even the things that people think is just entertainment for the sake of entertainment was trying to say something.
For sure.
Maybe they weren't successful at it, and therefore it's difficult to ascertain what they were trying to say,
Sure.
but they were trying to say something. Even Ed Wood had a reason for his movies. Good luck finding it, but he knew what they were about. He was trying to impart a message onto people.
Speaking of movies and that exact subject, I watched a
Ed
review.
Wood, really?
No, just movies in
Oh,
general.
okay.
Uh, on that exact subject of having something to say, like having your story
Mm.
be about something. I watched a review of The Joker by somebody who I generally respect the opinion of, Movie Bob. I don't know if you know who that is, Bob Chipman.
No, it sounds awesome.
He does an incredible series on Escapist. Um, I forget what the damn name of it is for some reason. But he does really cool. He did like really cool like analyses of comics, like the death of Superman and stuff like that. But he does this thing called Comics Are Weird. It's just like weird shit that happens in comics. But anyway, he did a review of Joker, and he said that it wasn't about anything. Like, a lot of things happened, but the movie wasn't about anything. And I was like, he's kind of not wrong. Like, the lesson that it tries to teach at the end, I feel is a little self-serving of you've seen it, right? I don't want to...
Oh, yeah, okay. I've seen it. I'm just thinking.
The whole lesson at the end, like, I kind of felt like it took me out of the movie where he, like, has that speech. I did like the, like, result of that speech where he says, like, what happens when you take blah, blah, blah. And he says, what? And he's like, you get what you fucking deserve. Or, like, what do you get? Blah, blah, you get what you fucking deserve. Like, that was... I thought it was a great punchline. Like, I was like, that's a great joke. But, like... like that lesson that he like spoon feeds you, really. Like, he's like, here is the lesson of this film. Besides that, like, this dude's just crazy and he's fucked up, and it's mostly not for his fault. Like, he really can't control himself.
Right. Well, I think the creators have even come out and said it's about a character study. I think that's what it's about. Like, even in that sense, it is about something. It's about a character study.
That's fair.
You know?
And
they were intentional about it, and it is what they intended it to be.
That was...
It is a series of things happening, but it's in order to present
it's
this
just
character.
about... And in that, it is truly about the Joker.
Yeah.
It's not about an event. It's not about a plot. It's about the Joker.
Right.
Like,
what is one explanation for how this type of person can come to be? And how does that look?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it's about.
Yeah.
Which is loose, I'll agree. On my spectrum of the kind of stories that I personally like to write, that's not on there. I'm not into creating that kind of thing, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a loose. It's very conceptual. It's very very like
an artistic
highbrow kind of thing.
Yes.
I really feel like the whole like wrap up lesson at the end was self-serving, almost to like apologize for like how he is, like not apologize, but like to justify what he does at the end. But like, I think the best part
in his mind,
but I think honestly I think the best part is the last scene where he's sitting there in that like the like counselor meeting or whatever, and he's thinking about Bruce Wayne. And somebody had said somebody was discussing what is the joke that he says, because he laughs and she's like, what? And he's like, it's a joke. He's like, I just thought of a joke. She's like, what is it? She's like, you wouldn't get it.
Right.
And I was like, I'm like, because the way I'm thinking is he's thinking about Bruce being abandoned by his father, and he is the one that feels like he was abandoned by the same father.
Huh.
And I was like, I dig that. But like, he caused Bruce to be and like that's where he forms that kind of like sick attachment that the Joker has, that he even says, like, I think in something else he says that like he loves him, he loves Batman, like he's like that he completes him or whatever. And I was like, that's because that's like, and you kind of see like that's that like spark of like he feels that connection because they're like the same.
Yeah.
It's it was like a weird, but I was like, I get that. My wife was saying like, oh, I thought he like imagined the whole thing. I'm like, oh no, they caught him at the end for sure.
Yeah.
No, they caught him at the end, and then he killed that woman, and then he ran. That was that whole like credit scene. As he ran out, that was her blood on his shoes.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, he killed that woman. They're talking about a sequel. How do you feel about that?
I think that's awesome. I mean, especially coming from Joaquin Phoenix, who said that he doesn't do sequels. That's pretty cool. That's encouraging.
I like
what they did, and I would like to see more of where it's going. Now, they said that they would never have Batman introduced into that world too, and they've also said that they have no intention of like bringing him to that status of what we know as the Joker in the comics. But I would still like to see, like, the Clown Prince of Crime. They said they don't want to do that, but I would like to see how this progresses. Like at the end of that
Yeah.
movie, with the flock of the mob of people pulling him out of the car and stuff. That felt like, okay,
They
that's the
deified him.
henchman.
They
That's
deified him,
the
yeah.
henchman. We're starting something here.
Yeah. They deified him
Um,
at the end, and it was great.
yeah, and that rang so true of how his lackeys are in the comics. He's like a cult leader. He's like a Charlie Manson.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
believe in him and they want to do his bidding. There's something about it that they just they'll sacrifice themselves for him. That was cool. We haven't seen that in any of the movies yet. It's always been, the focus has always been on him and not even necessarily his effect on
That's
the
true. I
world.
would. That's 100%
So,
true. I never even thought about that. But even in Dark Knight,
yeah,
I don't
it
think
was him.
you never. I don't even think you saw any of his essential. Like you saw them, but like very
Yeah, they were,
like very vaguely. Like they were there,
right.
but you
They were
didn't
there,
hear
but
from
they
them.
were
You didn't.
background characters.
Yeah.
They didn't react to him in any meaningful way. Whereas like in the comics, you get this genuine feeling of this cult vibe, you
Yeah.
know? And
And
I
that's and
felt
that kind of
very strongly at the end. It gave me chills.
and
a
it kind
little
of
bit.
reinforces the Harley Quinn thing in that
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
they just have this mentality like Mr. J, like
Yeah.
they call him boss, like
Yep.
in reverence, like not
Yeah.
just like not like out of requirement. Like it's very, yeah, it is a very interesting character. I'm interested to see that as much as I am not interested in seeing Birds of Prey, because that looks fucking awful. That looks
Yeah,
boring as
I
shit.
don't care. I heard it's like supposed to be a reboot of the Suicide Squad in some way.
Well, that's
or,
Suicide
or
Squad. Suicide
lead
Squad.
into.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's supposed to set that up, though, right?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And they're saying
I
that
don't know.
Suicide Squad is a reboot, but it is still the same actress for Harley
Yeah.
Quinn. And no, it's the whole thing is fucking dumb. Like DC's leadership on their entertainment they're I don't know what the fuck they're on. Like like they had Johns on, and Johns crafts a great story. Jeff Johns crafts a great story.
yeah.
Like Brightest Day into Blackest
Huh.
Night, that whole
Amazing.
thing, like from the rebirth of Hal Jordan into the Blackest Night and into Brightest Day,
Yep. Yeah.
the way that was all crafted was impeccable.
Yeah.
like
that was a crazy story.
And there were so many characters.
That's what got me back into comics. Actually, I'd stopped reading for a long time, and someone had suggested, that as a gateway back
2000
in, and I was like,
2007,
okay, it took me a long time to read it, but
Dude, 2007 was the kickstart point for DC again. Up to that point, everything was real boring, real dumb. You had like standout issues, some storylines, but like that's when it kicked off, because that's when Identity Crisis happened, which was incredible. I mean, they brought in a novelist, a crime novelist, to write that one. Really, 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 really good. Like whodunit, like true to the spirit of whodunit. Like no one fucking has a clue until
Nice.
like everyone learns what happened.
cool. Very cool.
It's such a good story, and it was like out of that, you just had these like bigger and bigger and bigger things that like Rebirth happened, and like it really escalated, and they just did a lot of really good shit, and then New 52 just like shit on the whole thing. And it really, the only reason it did that is because there was a lack of understanding of what everyone was doing. Like you had people that were like, "Oh, we're gonna reboot fully," and like Superman was fully rebooted, and like they changed the way his origin and everything. But then Batman, like all the stuff happened because they were like, "Oh yeah, remember when that thing happened?" Like, but it all just happened in a more condensed time frame. But I'm like, that means you lost 5 Robins. You went through 5 Robins in 5 years.
Reckless.
It's a lot of kids to put in danger. You had one of them died and came back to life in that time frame. That's a lot. Like, god damn.
Someone better send social services.
I'm
over to
saying,
Batman's house.
like, it was such a ridiculous thing. Like, and you were supposed to believe like all these things, like Battle for the Cowl happened, and like all this stuff. It was like because they had a thing where, because when Grayson quote unquote died, when Nightwing was outed to the public during Forever Evil and he died and went into like secret agent life, he came back and he had a moment with Damian, and he was like, "We were the best Batman and Robin." I'm like, "Wait, so that happened too?"
Oh
That
my
was like a
God.
year. They were Batman and Robin for like a year solid. Like, what the fuck? Like, it like made no sense in some aspects. But then like out of that, you also got like really really good shit because you got the like I call it like the dark side of the DC universe. Swamp Thing, Ant-Man, or Animal Man, and Frankenstein and the Agents of Shade.
Hmm.
Really good, it's like cohesive corner of the DC universe. Mostly didn't interact with anybody else. That like nothing else really fucking mattered. Justice League Dark like touches into that, so like it kind of grows out of that too. But like Swamp Thing was really well done, which is why I had such high expectations for the TV series. And it set up this rule of like the red, the green, the gray, like all these like natural like forces kind of fighting for dominance and striving to like find an equilibrium. And then you find out like, oh, Animal Man's actually a representative of the red. That's why like he can connect to other animals and stuff like that, because like he's the avatar of the red just as much as Swamp Thing is an avatar of the green. And I was like, yo, that makes perfect sense. Like that washes in my opinion. And then like when they touched on the gray and the rot, like there was this whole thing where like the gray took over and there was like a time travel, like really great, comic books. But Frankenstein, because he's like undead, like for a moment became like sought by the gray or the rot or whatever. It was just like a really like it was just really well fucking cohesive section. Aquaman, another great like standout from that corner of the universe. Like not really superheroes. Like he kind of had his like secret Justice League from like the 50s or 60s. Like he used to have a Justice League that was like these like international heroes that like nobody fucking knows about because nobody talks about it because it's kind of like a secret. I was like, this is dope. Like, come here, jackass dog. Come here. Come here. Come on.
Well, I don't know how long you want to go, but I do have to kind of wrap this up.
Oh,
kinda
for
soon.
sure,
Got
for
some
sure.
errands to run and such.
For sure, sir. Obviously,
And puppy.
obviously, your socials. I've got your
Oh, okay.
Michael Emeritz. So that's your Instagram.
Right, yeah.
Is
That's
that
probably the best one.
okay?
Patreon. Patreon's a big one. I've been posting a lot up there lately, a lot of process stuff, especially on the commissions that I've been working. That's one of the only ways you could see the commissions that I'm working on finished, because I want to give them to the people first.
For sure.
But yeah, I always do a lot of in-depth stuff on my Patreon, where I'll walk through the different stages of how I do stuff. And I've got a lot of commissions lined up, so that's going to be a pretty regular thing until I start pages on the comic, and then I'll do it the same way with that too. So yeah, Patreon's a good one.
Patreon's a great shout out. I'm a proud patron of Michael Emeritz. I was talking to somebody yesterday. My buddy Ethan, who was on the podcast last week. He and I had an in-depth conversation about Kappa and everything that's happening on YouTube right now.
Boy.
And I was saying like it's gonna get to a point like they're really trying to. I watched a video. Somebody said YouTube's trying to Disneyfy the platform, and I was like, that's kind of true. They're trying to like make it to be this like cookie cutter. Like you can't. Like they're doing stuff that's really not great for creators, especially smaller creators, and especially creators who have more mature content. Honestly, like more mature content is gonna die. But I was like, and I was saying like, how do you continue as a creator? And I was like, well, direct to your audience, and I think Patreon's a great way to do that. Because
or
like
your own website. I mean, yeah.
Patreon and like your own website and Patreon, and that's like you have full control over who's coming into your platform. You don't have to worry about kids and all that stuff. So hey, this is for this age. If you want this tier, this is the age for this tier.
Yeah. Which Patreon actually snuffed that out too. Actually, I tried to do that for a little while, and I had a big back and forth with them for months. Actually, multiple emails, trying to change their minds about that and present arguments for why it should be that way. They don't agree. So they're very much either a mature platform or not,
Oh,
and
I
they're
see.
very strict about what you can put on there. Because I had a mature tier for a little while, and
Sure.
I had a few patrons on there, but they forced me to take that down. It was either or. So now I just have, it is what it is. And it's mature, and that's that.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not
hey,
trying to appeal to kids either,
for
but at the
sure.
same time, I'm not trying to be just adults only either. I think there's not a gray area, but I would say teenagers and up is more my target audience.
For
The kind of
sure.
stuff that I used to read when I was a teenager is very similar to the kind of stuff that I'm making now. But
Right.
it's such a tough topic. The whole Copa thing. I feel like it was rolled out with the best intentions, but not in the best way.
I'm
And
still
I
trying to sort out what all the new stuff is because I don't know where this new stuff is coming from. The
yeah,
last time Coppa was updated was 2013,
right.
and
Yeah, it's been around for a long
and
time. It's just
none of this like, oh, we're gonna like scour YouTube for channels that are not
right.
complying. None of that's in it. So like,
Well,
I don't know where this new like, oh, we're gonna check every channel and find
what
people
happened
who
was
aren't part of it, like whatever.
YouTube basically a long time ago was kind of under fire for appealing to a younger demographic than they sort of let on, and so the government, came down on them and said, "Hey, you can't be catering to children. You have to have clearer definition of the kind of content that you're trying to market and all that." And so they basically told them, "Okay, sorry, we're gonna do what we can to fix this." And so they essentially, with just a verbal agreement, kind of promised that they would police their platform more and that they do not target kids, that they would not target kids through their ads and stuff like that. And now all of this is happening because YouTube got in trouble, because it turns out they actually were, like, very intentionally, their algorithms were funneling children into the platform despite them not, they weren't supposed to do that.
Right.
And so instead of completely taking the blame themselves, and instead of finding a way to restructure how their platform works in a more nuanced way, they're putting the onus of proof on all the creators now. That's basically what's happening. So
It's just very ridiculous to me because
it is. It's too risky. I disagree that it's going to hurt the mature people more than the children's content creators, though, because
oh
if you're
no, no.
completely mature content, you're actually pretty safe. If you're not doing any kind of, I mean, comic characters, pretty much anything that could be a children's property is, you could get in trouble for using it, because technically you might be targeting a kid.
Right.
But if you're
Animation.
100% mature, you're safe. But the
But the thing,
children's authors
but the thing about
are
that is
screwed.
there is kind of a gray area. Like
Sure.
I
Oh
actually
yeah.
messaged on Facebook our buddy from high school, Jared. Um,
Oh.
like I haven't talked to him in ages. But like all I was thinking about while I was debating this and talking about this for the last few days, I was like, what about his cartoons? Like his cartoons
Oh
are
yeah.
animations, but they're cartoon hookups.
Yeah.
Like,
No, there's no gray area
are you
there.
saying
That's
that you
adult
right?
content.
I'm like, but it's animation, right? Are they gonna force it to be kids content? Because like
Yeah, because
they have that option. Like they can override
yeah,
your decision, and I think that's
right.
bullshit. Like there is no true business reason to say, oh, you make kids content, therefore you should label it for kids. Because my thing is, how are
Yeah.
you like my? I'm thinking for kids means it's gonna be in the kids app. Now, granted,
Right.
kids watch it on the channel. There's no way to control that at all. There's just not.
Yeah.
Because if they log into their parents' account or if their parents let them watch it or if they're not
Yeah.
logged in, you don't know how old that person is. So
Yeah.
you have no way of knowing. So you can't serve personal ads anyway, and B you don't know if that person is a child, so you don't know what not to serve them. So they're just
Right.
going to find whatever they find.
Well, they said they're going to do it. So I forget the term, but machine was a part of this term. So they're automating it. It's going to be a bot that does it, not even people.
Yeah, but
So
the
it's
thing is,
literally
I
being
saw someone.
programmed to find children's content. So yeah, like Jared's channel with the cartoon hookups. I mean, if they see an image of Spider-Man, especially since the way he draws it is very cartoony,
Yeah,
for lack of a better word. Um, it's going to flag that as, oh, mislabeled. This is for kids.
right. But
So,
and
someone like
the
Jared,
fucked up thing
go
about
to
that
Patreon.
The fucked up thing about that is you have no way. If it sets it, you can't change it.
Right.
I
And
want
then you get in trouble for it.
right, which is fucking
So
like it's this whole
yeah,
it's a whole fucking
I'm
dumb
gonna
thing.
be done with YouTube. I would have said check out my YouTube too, but very soon it's probably gonna be gone. Um, just is what it is. But
Right.
my own website, I found other services that offer video services too. So I'm looking into some of that, and I'm probably gonna transfer some of my newer
I jumped on
content.
Storyfire.
Storyfire. Okay, I forget what it was that I signed up for, but it's good for tutorials and creating like chapters and stuff in your videos. So I'm going with something like that. It
Nice.
works almost identical to YouTube. It's just there is no uh, subscription list or anything like that. It's purely just to make and upload videos, and then you would put them on your own website. So,
I see.
which
Okay, that makes
that
sense.
would be cisfiendcomplex.com. That's
There you go.
not up yet, but
There
it
you
will
go.
be.
Cisfiendcomplex.com.
Yeah,
When
that's
when do you foresee that going up?
um honestly, it's not on the top of my list of things to do because I'm trying to pump it full of content first.
Sure.
But if I had to wager a guess, I would say, start of the new year. That's going to be kind of a big deal for me. That at that point I'm kind of starting a whole new, trying to get the comic out and all that. I'd like all that to sync up. So, um, yes, hypothetically, that's the plan. That's the tentative plan.
So coming up in 2020,
Yeah.
check out cisfiendcomplex.com.
Yep.
We'll have that in the description down below because
Cool.
might
I know.
not know how to spell that.
No, many people won't. I was looking at maybe getting a different domain to easily link to when I do podcasts and stuff, like the number3.com, something like that.
Right? Something
But
easy.
yeah.
You know?
But yeah, that is the tentative plan, and I'm looking to make it, my little hub. I don't want to rely on Patreon. I don't want to rely on YouTube. I don't want to rely on any of this stuff. I really just want to make books. That's all I'm after. I'm not trying to make comics to get a movie deal or toys or anything else. I literally just love this medium. I have a lot of stories to tell. Love doing this kind of work, and so the less I have to focus on, the better. So over time, I really hope to kind of make that my main platform, just my own website.
I mean, that's
We'll
always the
see.
best. You live
Sure.
by your own rules.
Yeah,
You don't have to
exactly.
comply with anybody else's rules.
Yeah, because you never know. Stuff like this might happen. A lot of people were touting how great YouTube was for the longest time and that it
Hmm.
was the last bastion of freedom for creatives and that
Right.
here we could do all of these things and no one could tell us what to do. And now all of a sudden, boom, this happens.
Yep.
And you have like no time to prepare. It's like, what, a month and a week or so
Yep.
to completely restructure a
During
business
during
that
the
you've built
holidays.
upon YouTube.
During the
I
holidays.
mean, yeah, what are people gonna do?
You have people. You have people like Jazza that will survive, but he's probably also going to have to. He's probably going to have to adjust his revenue stream
Yeah,
because his
yeah,
ad money is going to be way lower,
yep,
realistically speaking. Because he's going to lose all the. I mean, like a lot of the features that you lose as a for kids creator are important.
yep, yeah. They're setting this weird precedent that you're not allowed to make money if you're making content for children. And what the hell? What? That makes no
Right?
sense.
But they're still going to
We
make
sh-
money. They're,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
exploring what kind of ads they. I'm like, you're gonna serve toy ads. You're just gonna serve more generic toy ads.
yeah, probably.
Like it's the same. It's gonna be the same thing you've been doing, just in a less specific format.
Yeah. Which that'll then lump all the video content creators into the same category as a lot of comic artists where, there is no platform that people trust that we can send them to get indie stuff.
Yep.
You could say, "Oh, check out the Kickstarter or whatever." No, I don't know. I can't get that at Walmart. I don't know about that. They don't understand. They don't. So, I don't know. I feel bad for all video content creators. I feel bad for everybody. Something's got to give. I know there's a big, strong push for all independent creators right now to get more, to be noticed more and to be accepted as a viable form of entertainment that people could spend their money on. And I don't know what the solution is, but we'll see. Maybe some new platforms will roll out in the next few years that'll be just independent. Some kind of like the independent film channel, but for comics and for YouTube video content. I don't know. I don't
We
know what
need
the
we need
solution is,
something.
but
We need something.
yeah.
We're gonna leave it there. Somewhat somber note. We need something.
On a grim note.
Something needs to happen. God damn it. If you
That's how I like to end it.
if you are that someone who can make that something happen, let us the fuck know. That's gonna be it for this one. Thank you, Mike, for hanging out. Much appreciated.
Oh, for sure. Thanks for having me.
I know it was last minute, but I've been meaning to get you on podcast again. So
Sure. Well, anytime, man. I'm just here making comics.
that's what's up. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. We will see you in the next one.